Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Lewis Basketball Network. You already know who it is. It is your boy Lewis, and I'm back once again with another banger with yet another video. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell, man, to keep receiving the latest content I truly provide. Truly appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch my videos, man. And make sure at the end of each video, make sure to share this video. Only helps the channel grow, man. Truly appreciate it, guys, as always. Hope everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. It is I'm not going to say it's warm outside, but it is beautiful right now. The sun is out, and let's get right into this topic. So, the question is, who is the MVP of the league? Who is the front runner for the MVP, in my opinion? Who should win the MVP award for the 2018-2019 season? And in my opinion, between James Harden and Giannis Antetokounmpo, the person who I believe is the MVP of this league is, drumroll please, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the MVP of this season. First of all, James Harden is having a historic season. James Harden is last year's reigning MVP. He helped lead the Rockets to 65 wins last year and was the #1 seed, and were one win away from defeating the Golden State Warriors and going to the NBA Finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers. This year, the Rockets got off to a slow start. They were the 14th seed by Christmas. Clint Capella and Chris Paul were out with injuries. So was Eric Gordon, but James Harden did the best he could, and he carried that team with the 30-point streak, and the Rockets went 21-10. You can make a case for Harden being the MVP, and as a matter of fact, he's having another record-setting streak right now with another 61-point game. Here's the thing. And yes, he's in the Western Conference. But with that being said, Giannis Antetokounmpo has taken his game to another level this year, number one. Number two, the Milwaukee Bucks have the best record in the NBA. Did anybody look at the Milwaukee Bucks and say that they were going to be contenders in the Eastern Conference for the East Crown? No. If you remember LeBron James came out and said that the reason that the many Eastern Conference teams have an opportunity at winning that Eastern Conference crowd was because I am no longer there and I went to the West. If you guys haven't seen that video, make sure to go check that video in one of my earlier videos as I talked about that. But you have the Bucks, you have the Raptors, you have the Sixers, you have the Pacers, and you have the Celtics. Okay? Now, if you remember, people were talking about the Raptors with Kawhi Leonard being a really more legit team now that he's there. People said that Kyrie and Gordon Hayward are fully healthy, so the Celtics look like they can make that run. And people said had Kyrie been there last year, that the Celtics would have easily won in 5 games because they went to 7 games with LeBron's Cavaliers without their 2 best players. If you look at the Indiana Pacers, they made more stride this year. It took the Cavaliers to 7 games with just Victor Oladipo. When you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, with the talent they had, even though they lost some talent this year, they, again, with the Jimmy Butler trade, but they added Tobias Harris, and people are looking at the Sixers as they can be contenders with the all-star team that they have. So, but when you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis may be the all-star, but nobody saw the Bucks being the team that they are, and we're talking about them for the East Crown. Now, personally, what the Bucks are going to be in the NBA playoffs is yet to be determined. I don't know what team they're going to be. If we remember, Giannis he does not have a jump shot just yet, and I feel like I'm gonna have to see what is he going to bring in the postseason and how the Bucks will perform, if they're looking like a legitimate contender or are they still a year away from contending. Because right now they have the best record, but we know that the real regular season starts in the playoffs. And it's 0-0, it's a new season. So, in my opinion, with what he's done this season, with the fact that they have a new coach, a new system, it's gotten the best out of him and it's gotten the best out of the team. He's averaging 6 assists with 12 rebounds and 27 points a game, shooting about 50-something% from the field. I know it's in the high 50s for sure. And he's been the best player on the best team. James Harden is one of the best players in the game, but he's not the best player on the best team. The Rockets, for a slow start, they are now the #3 seed, but that's a lot. One reason is because some of the Western Conference teams have injuries, but that's not James Harden's fault. He's playing who's in front of him. And like I said, he deserves to be an MVP candidate because unlike Paul George, he's been the most consistent. And like I said, Paul George was looking like an early MVP candidate. But the Thunder's their play has really tailed off in the last month. And once they were looking so promising as a real possible threat to the Golden State Warriors, it's still a possible threat. But once again, I got to see how they perform in the postseason, and I just don't know how they're going to be. So they have a lot of question marks. So, and like the Rockets kind of look like the more sure thing because they're the team that went deep last year. So I think the thing is with James Harden is as much as he's having an historic season, when I look at the totality of it, the Rockets had expectations to be in the NBA Finals as compared to the Milwaukee Bucks, and I think that plays a big factor. Now we look at, okay, it's a regular season award, but once again, I feel like that the MVP, its value has constantly changed. Like, I don't know what the value of an MVP is anymore. That's why I keep honking at the fact that even if James Harden wins it because of his numbers, let's look at Giannis. Giannis is a two-way player. Like, he does it at both ends. Like, James Harden has improved on the defensive end, but he's not a defender at the level that, Giannis Antetokounmpo is. Like, Giannis has done a good job on the defensive end. But I'm not mad at you if you'll say that James Harden deserves to be the MVP for a second straight year and, look what he did and all this stuff. I'm just saying, like, based on from what I've seen, I think Giannis is the MVP. He's been the best player on the best team. Like I said, like the expectations that the Bucks have are not the same expectations that Harden and the Rockets had coming into this season. Now, I know they lost Trevor Ariza and Luc Mbah a Moute. Those were two big pieces that people kind of tend to put under the radar in terms of what kind of loss those were. And like I said, last year, the Rockets kind of surprised people in terms of how they won the 65 games. More was kind of expected of them to be around that, anywhere from that like 58 to 60 win mark this year. It's not going to happen. They had to deal with injuries, but they also got off to a slow start, and they were one of the worst defensive teams in the league to start. So that's why I kind of look at it. But the media is going to use Harden being in the Western Conference against Giannis. And I would say, well, if LeBron James won in the Eastern Conference, and I don't mean to bring his name up, but I'm saying, like, if LeBron James won in the Eastern Conference with two other All-Stars on his team to be the MVP with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, why can't Giannis win, especially when he doesn't have another All-Star player beside him? They have a good team. They've made some good signings, but he doesn't have another All-Star behind him. He has very good players, but it's like he's not working with a second star as compared to James Harden, what he is with Chris Paul. Even if Chris Paul is an older player, let's face it, the narrative is always, man, if Chris Paul is there, man, the Houston Rockets are going to the NBA Finals, man. They were one win away. Not mentioning about Iguodala, but, that's for another story. But once again, I honestly think between the two guys, both of them deserving candidates. Like I said, you can make a case for Harden, don't get me wrong. As what I said in the last video was just about more so scoring in terms of being a better scorer. And I think, like I said, kudos to Harden for taking advantage of this era, this more analytical era, as I said before. But Giannis has done more with less. He's got good players, but he's done more with less. I'm not trying to discredit Harden, but I'm saying, like, in terms of the championship aspirations and the expectations due to injuries, I get it. But I think Giannis has been the MVP. And now it's even to the point where people are saying on ESPN that if James Harden doesn't win the MVP, like, it's a snub. But it's like, once again, they focus on one aspect of the game and don't even take into account, like, other things that they do besides just scoring. I mean, hell, Kobe Bryant has done that. He's had many seasons where he's been one of the top scorers in the league and has one MVP to show for it. But, like I said, man, don't get me wrong. You can make a case, but I think Giannis has had the better season and it's impacted his team. Like, they don't have another all-star player as compared to James Harden. But even then, so, like, in defense of James Harden, Chris Paul has been out and he's had injuries, and James Harden has done a good job carrying his team in the Western Conference. I'm just saying, in this season, I think it's Giannis, but that's just my opinion. So, once again, let me know what you guys think, man, in the comment section, man. Do you have James Harden winning the MVP for a second year in a row, or do you have Giannis Antetokounmpo as your MVP, man? Let me know what you guys think. I just hope for James Harden's sake, if he does win the MVP this year, that his MVP season translates into the postseason, because if it doesn't, What's going to happen is that the narrative is going to be, man, you're a great regular season player. You put up all these stats, you play all these minutes, but when it comes down to it, when the big moments come, you show that you can't lead a team to a championship. That's going to be the narrative. I want that narrative to change, and I want Harden to prove the doubters wrong. But we will wait and see what the playoff brings, man. It's looking crazy in the Western Conference, so we'll see what happens, man. As always, bless up. One love. Peace. Thanks for watching.